Hi there, welcome back for another box opening and review video with me, Jenny Kirk, here on my channel. And today we've got one of the brand new Hornby extra long LNER covered carriage trucks. And this is actually quite an imposing piece of rolling stock. You can see there in the box, very long. And it's probably about the longest four-wheel van that I've seen, longer even than the Bachmann VAA, VBA, VDA type wagons. Probably as long as the VGA, but I don't have any of those. But this is catalogue number R6682A. I only bought one of these, but they have immediately released two different running numbers for both the London and North Eastern Railway livery and also for BR Crimson. But because I only wanted the one, I just grabbed one off the shelf. So this very much is the first time I've opened it. So we're just carefully trying to get in there and open it up. So inside we've got the now standard Hornby packaging with the white cardboard backing. That's something that that Bachmann have done away with, but Hornby are still persisting with. But I must admit, the method that Hornby have got of fixing it in the box makes it a lot less prone to just scrunching up at one end. We've got the plastic blister pack here on the inside that holds everything in place. Just pull tab to release, lift it up, and everything falls apart. How strange. Now that's interesting. I'm looking at this, and what I can see is that it's something actually that, I'll be honest, a lot of people have mentioned about, that the build quality on some of these, the new Hornby stuff, they've moved to different factories in China, and actually some of the quality control and the build quality isn't quite there. But in all honesty, what this does show is that if you want to put in different wheel sets, say for example you want to convert this to EM or P4, the wheels do come out very, very readily. Almost too readily perhaps, but we're going to just try and clip all that back in. So clunk clip every trip, and there we go. It's all back in, so no harm done. And it does show you that you can change these wheel sets quite readily. It's in this sort of light brown. That's lighter than I've seen the box vans from Bachmann, but there was in real life a lot of variation anyway in paint colours, so it doesn't really matter too much. We haven't got sprung buffers, but to be honest with you, again, sprung buffers are a bit of a gimmick that is just extra cost for the sake of it, so I'm quite pleased to see that they've stopped bothering with gimmicks like that. It is quite a utilitarian van, but it's been very well rendered. So we've got a lot of detail with the planking. The handrails are all moulded, but in all honesty with you, I mean this is a variation on the horse boxes, for example, had separately applied metal handrails, and I really don't think that this detracts from the finish. So if it's keeping costs down, I think it can only be a good thing. We've got very, very well applied, crisply applied lettering and works plates on the sole bar underneath. We can read it very readily. It's still very legible despite the size, but what's interesting is that there's a bit of an angle in the weight and dimension lettering. It's printed at an angle, but I couldn't tell you, for example, whether that is just Hornby very faithfully following a photograph that they have of the original that it may have been applied wonky on, or whether that's it not quite set up right in the Tampo printing machine. But either way, it adds a bit of individual character to the wagon, and I don't really think that's a problem. We've got down here, perfectly legible, not to work on the Mersey dock estate, and that really is down to the fact that the Mersey dock estate had some very tight corners because it was a dock railway, and also it ran in places underneath and between the supports of the Liverpool overhead railway. And I think tight curves, a lot of tight clearances, and a very long wheelbase van like this would not have been a good combination. On the buffers we've got cutaways on the top, and I think these were to do with, you can see the end doors were able to fully open, and I think that was to facilitate end loading, because you could drop the bottom panels down on the real ones and they'd rest on the tops of the buffers there. We've got a nicely applied white roof, but there's I suppose an ever so slight texture to the paint, and what this does is it kills any shine that you would otherwise get from the paint and actually makes it look a lot more realistic. So I really do like that. There are a few blemishes on there which we can live with, to be honest with you. I'm not going to complain too heavily about them. Also, something that's been mentioned a lot on online fora is that the central two sets of windows on each side are painted over. And to be honest, the only conclusion that people seem to come to is the fact that it must be following on from a photograph of the prototype, which Hornby are faithfully followed. We've got some separately applied footboards here and steps, and they are nicely done, and whilst they're very fine, they don't feel too fragile, and I like that, because there's nothing worse than details so fragile that it just comes off in your hands. They're not the most free running of wheels, but we're going to oil them up, and overall I'd say we've got a good, I'd give this 8 out of 10. It's a good variation on vans to add some variety to your freight trains, and also mix in with passenger trains. Overall, I really do quite like this van, so a very nice addition to the railway. Anyway, this has been me, Jenny Kirk, with a box opening and review video. Don't forget to like this video and share it too, because it's always important to let other people know, because it massages my ego, and I like that. I like it when my ego gets massaged. And I talk some right rubbish, don't I? And don't forget to look back through the channel and see what we've got going on there. We've got all sorts of stuff, and we're coming up on the 150th video soon, so we're going to keep them coming. Anyway, you take very good care of yourself, and I'll be seeing you next time. Keep those model railways rolling.